Who of the X-cast became the face of the Marvel franchise? Which actress starred in 4 seasons of Shameless? And who came back to host after having earned billions solo? Hi, I'm Janet. Meet the celebs who left SNL and never looked back. Adam Sandler and Chris Farley. Right before hitting it big by acting in Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, and The Wedding Singer, Adam Sandler was an SNL writer and featured player. Lots of the show's fans remember his Opera Man, or the Thanksgiving song, and the Hanukkah song.
Thanksgiving is a special night.
He also teamed up with another memorable comedian on the show, Chris Farley. The duo really rocked on the Saturday Night Live of the early 90s.
Hello, and welcome to Zagat's.
Till they were fired and sort of quit at the same time. According to Sandler, neither of them had any clue why Lorne Michaels, the longtime SNL producer, got rid of them. Adam suggested it wasn't Lorne's decision at all, blaming it on the NBC head dude, who didn't like their gig. Some assumed that 1995 was just a hard year for SNL in terms of ratings, and Michaels was forced to somehow shake things up, by sacking the young guys, for instance. Sandler remembers seeing Farley, who said, "Me too. They don't want me either."
We were both like, fuck this shit. We got mad together, pretended we weren't sad, and pretended this was for the best.
But it turned out to be for the best indeed. Sandler has had a hugely successful career. In 2019, his movie, Murder Mystery, with Jennifer Aniston, became the most watched movie on Netflix that year. Also, the actor reminded everyone of his impressive dramatic skills when he played the title character in the crime thriller Uncut Gems. Meanwhile, Farley, who tragically died just 2 years after parting with SNL, managed to star in comedies of his own, such as Black Sheep and Tommy Boy. Both were ironically produced by Lorne himself. In 2019, Adam Sandler returned to SNL as a host. In his opening monologue, he sang about being fired by NBC, joked that he never saw it coming, and that Lorne never called him back.
Then I made over $4 billion at the box office. So I guess you could say I won.
Man has a point. And another guy sang along with Adam's "I Was Fired by NBC" song in that comeback show, Chris Rock. Though Chris added his part of the story to the mix. I went on In Living Color. 3 weeks later, they took it off TV. Yes, that's exactly what happened after the comedian had played 3 SNL seasons since 1990. Rock's desire to join the sketches series In Living Color was the reason for his departure from Saturday Night Live. Oh, the irony. Still, the decision didn't leave any bitter aftertaste. Chris Rock went on to be a successful stand-up, creating his popular sitcom, Everybody Hates Chris, and notoriously starred as the 13th Apostle in Dogma, opposite Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. The actor has since appeared in many comedies. Oh yeah, and Chris Rock also hosted the Oscars. Twice! On his first time, he roasted lots of huge actors and called the ceremony idiotic afterwards. His second time around in 2016 marked the year that there were no racial minorities among the acting nominations.
Well, I'm here at the Academy Awards, otherwise known as the White People's Choice Awards. If they nominated host, I wouldn't even get this job.
Chris whipped the audience with jokes about white people, closing by saying Black Lives Matter. And most recently, Chris revealed his dramatic side as well, playing the big bad mafia boss in the 4th season of the iconic Fargo series. One more household name in the comedy world tried his hand at SNL. Ben Stiller. Stiller's story on SNL lasted for only 4 episodes. See, initially, Ben joined the show with the purpose of making short films that would air in between the sketches. When he figured out the show was actually all about live sketches, he quit.
I knew that I wasn't good live because I would get nervous.
Poor guy. Well, not that poor after all. Dropping SNL turned out to be the right move for Stiller. He moved on with his own MTV Fox sketch comedy show, The Ben Stiller Show, and later owned his success by appearing in There's Something About Mary, the Meet the Parents and Zoolander movies, and many others. Though Ben left Saturday Night Live really quickly, he has returned as a host twice, as well as made cameos in sketches. The latest of his appearances has been as Michael Cohen, the former personal attorney to ex-President Donald Trump. Now, you would never expect our next guy to have performed on SNL. Robert Downey Jr. That one single year on the show taught the then 20-year-old actor everything he wasn't. The actor confessed, "I was not somebody who was going to come up with a catchphrase or do impressions. I was somebody who was very ill-suited for rapid-fire sketch comedy. I was like, this seems really hard." It's tough to believe Downey's poor abilities as a comedian were the reason he didn't stay longer.
I was 20.
You did one season of SNL?
Yes, arguably the worst season in its history. They also said I was the worst cast member, but come on, there's a lot of competition for that.
1985 was one of the darkest years in SNL history in terms of ratings and media criticism, so he was not the only one who left at the end of the 11th season. Although Robert wasn't kicked out, he was never asked to come back either. No loss here for Bob at all, because after SNL, the young man got to star in Weird Science and Less Than Zero. And, well, in at least 75 other movies by now. And let's not forget that the famous actor has become the face of the billion-dollar Marvel franchise as Iron Man. Not ill-suited here at all, right?
Yes, please.
There was one more remarkable actress who got sacked that doomed year. Joan Cusack, one of the best supporting actresses Hollywood has ever seen. And definitely the best friend the main character of any 80s to 2000 comedy could ever get, needed just one SNL season to land her first big break.
No one understands what I'm going through!
Cusack was brilliant with impressions, notably Jane Fonda, Brooke Shields, and the Queen. Despite being let go from the show, 2 years later, Joan was already nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for her role in Working Girl.
Can I get you anything, Mr. Trainer? Coffee, tea, me?
So far, the actress has appeared in more than 50 movies, getting an Academy Award, Golden Globe, Emmy, and other nominations for several of them. Even if you haven't seen her wearing her majestic hair in Working Girl, or giving best friend support to the runaway bride, you must have seen her as Sheila Jackson, the full of surprises neighbor of the Gallaghers in Shameless. This lady definitely has lots of jacks hidden up her acting sleeve. Talking about SNL ladies, it's hard not to talk about Chris Evans' ex-girlfriend, Jenny Slate. She found out SNL had given her the boot by reading it online. Ouch! It was rumored that the actress lost her job over dropping the F-bomb during her first ever sketch. But Slate denied it, saying that she just didn't belong there and she didn't do a good job. "Lauren and I never talked when I was fired at the end of the season," Jenny said to Glamour. "I got the news online. I've still never watched the clip of my f***up. That'd be like watching yourself fall down the aisle at your wedding. I feel like it happened to somebody else, and I want to tell her, oh girl, I'm so sorry, but you need to move on." Slate's career was far from over though. She and her then husband created the popular YouTube series, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. She also earned recurring roles on The Kroll Show, Parks and Recreation, and Big Mouth. Recently, you might have seen her in The Sunlit Night, or the latest Sofia Coppola movie, On the Rocks, opposite Mr. Bill Murray. And there are many more projects yet to come. To tell the truth, Jenny's F-bomb was just a tiny little misstep compared to countless O.J. Simpson jokes by Norm Macdonald. According to the comedian's early reaction, it was over those jokes that he got fired from Saturday Night Live.
And the Pope came out with a book this week, which contains a series of essays examining faith and morality. The book is entitled, "God Himself Told Me That O.J. is Guilty."
Though the official reasoning was the decline of the quality of his writing, Macdonald and his fellow writer Jim Downey just couldn't stop laughing about O.J. Simpson, who at that time was under a serious investigation. And O.J. was friends with the NBC West Coast president, Don Ohlmeyer. So, was Norm fired only because he didn't seem funny to the showrunners? Macdonald leaned toward that opinion later on, but we'll never know for sure. Norm's career didn't wrap up though. He had multiple talk shows and on-screen appearances. He voiced numerous animated characters and had a couple of stand-ups. The comedian also started his own podcast, Norm Macdonald Live, in 2018, and landed 10 episodes of his talk show, Norm Macdonald Has a Show, on Netflix the same year. Not bad at all. Unlike Norm, one of the SNL old-timers is convinced it wasn't him who was not funny on the show, it was the show itself. Chevy Chase.
Live from New York, it's Saturday night!
The comedian wasn't fired from the show due to any scandal, though lots of co-stars remembered him being, let's say, highly unpleasant behind the scenes. But Chevy kinda made up for lost time in 2018, when on the verge of the show's 44th season, the 74-year-old SNL vet said that it has the worst f***ing humor in the world. "I'm amazed that Lauren has gone so low," said Chase. "How could you dare give that generation worse shit than they already have in their lives? It just drives me nuts." It's worth noting that the comedian is convinced that Saturday Night Live lost its spark 2 years after it started, meaning exactly when Chevy left. The actor stressed that he really had fun when he was on the show, and that he didn't see the same fun happening with the cast the next year.
My God, that stuff is funny.
Despite his comments, Chase participated in SNL's 40th anniversary special in 2015, where he reminisced about the show and concluded, "Oh God, it was fun. I'll tell you, I'd do it again in a minute. Oh, we doubt they'd give you another chance now, Chevy." Someone else who probably won't get another shot is Mohr, the actor most people recognize as the backstabbing sports agent from Jerry Maguire, one of the Suicide Kings, and the host and producer of The Last Comic Standing, appeared as a feature player in 2 SNL seasons. A decade later, Mohr published his memoir, Gasping for Airtime, 2 Years in the Trenches of Saturday Night Live, telling the story of his relationship with the show, like his battle with panic attacks, being intimidated by castmates Rob Schneider and Ellen Cleghorn, his conflicts with Al Franken, his admiration for deceased castmates Chris Farley and Phil Hartman, being depressed about his lack of sketch appearances, and confessing that the only one that finally got into the show was stolen from comedian Rick Shapiro. Yes, it got pretty dirty for Jay. After the entirely plagiarized sketch was recognized by Lorne Michaels, Jay tried to cover it up by lying and saying that he had never heard of Shapiro. That lie helped him to last till the end of the season. But later, the actor admitted there was no excuse for what he did. Well, at least the guy wrote the piece, which his former SNL cast member Bobby Moynihan ranked as his favorite SNL-related book, calling it a handbook on what not to do at SNL. Do you think the SNL executives were pulling their hair out after losing Robert Downey Jr. or Ben Stiller? Tell us in the comments, and stay hilariously awesome!